Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel for Inktober Tangles 2025. My name is Becky and I run Ivy's Corner. You can find out more about Ivy's Corner by clicking the link in the description. But I teach Zentangle and the Zentangle method and have lots of lessons and courses and a membership as well. Today I'm going to be drawing day number 19's pattern for Inktober Tangles 2025. And this is a pattern that is a Zentangle HQ pattern. It's one that I have drawn lots before and I hope you enjoy following along today. Today's tangle is called Mrth. Now it's essentially based off of a fragment that was created for like the tangle Pangea. So a Pangea fragment in Zentangle is kind of a unequal shape, fairly random sort of splodge shape. And that tangle in itself is sort of a reticula for fragments to be placed within it. And when they created, I think, this particular fragment, this Pangea fragment, one of the patterns that came out of it was called Mrth, which was, they gave it its own name because it was kind of such a fun pattern to draw. Now, the kind of technical rules, there are no rules with Zentangle, but the technical suggestion would be not to draw your reticula in a pencil. However, I am going to do that today just to give you a couple of options for ways that you can draw Mrth as a tangle. So I'm going to do two of these kind of irregular splodge shapes. I'll do one of them in pen and then I'll show you why I'm waiting to do the other one in pencil afterwards. So with Mrth, we're going to draw a kind of just a random splodge-like shape on our paper. So this is our Pangea fragment. And then with Mrth, what we're going to do is we're going to do a kind of a C curve, like so. So we've got this little smiley face in the middle of our, I sort of like to think of this as a bit like a fried egg shape. And from the middle of this C curve that we've drawn, we're going to do a line that comes up to the top of our space like this. And we're just going to add a little bit of line weighting to the end. And actually I quite like to bump the corners of that line weighting to make it look as if it's wrapping around the edge of the space. I'm now going to do another one. So I'm going to kind of aura that line and I'm going to add some more line weight here. And I'm going to continue to do that. All of these lines are coming out of this C shape in the centre that I've drawn. Like so. And we've got this line weighting at the end to kind of glue it almost onto the edge of the space. And I'm going to just fill in these curves that came from our C shape. And so now it looks as if these lines are coming out from this sort of hole in the middle of this shape. At this point, I'm now going to start to draw lines coming from the bottom of this C curve that's going to come out and around the bottom of our Pangea shape. And again, you can do these with a little bit of line weight to sort of stick them to the edge. And you can then, by adding the line weight, just kind of get a bit more shape to these lines, and then it gives you more shape to then aura for the next one. And it starts to give a bit more interest to these textured lines that are coming out. And we're going to just move along this C curve and around the edge of your shape here. I'm going to do the same thing from here on the other side and just begin to grow these little lines out along the edges like so, until we get to the point where these lines are coming from horizontally out of this C curve here. And then once we get to this point, we're then going to continue just to go up. So as if this line is coming out from behind our initial vertical lines, essentially, like so, until we eventually fill that space with these lines. And it's a really nice textured tangle that has a lot of similarities with other patterns that Zentangle HQ have stepped out, but it's a fun one, a really nice one to draw. Now, before I shade this, I'm going to just show you what I meant about drawing something in pencil first and the reason that you might want to do that for this pattern. So I'm going to do my Pangea shape here in pencil, and then I'm going to start to do everything kind of just the same on this pencil line here within this pencil shape. So I'm going to do my Mrth the other way this time. So the C curve is going to be upside down compared to how it was over here. And what I'm going to do now is that because I haven't drawn this Pangea shape in pen, this means it gives me the freedom to extend these lines out beyond the shape if I want to. So I'm going to come out from here and then actually going to bring my line down and out and give it a little flick at the end. Like so. And we can just start to give this a little bit more life, as if it's kind of a line of tendrils coming out from inside this Mrth shape. I'm now going to extend this to make it look like it's coming out of this central kind of gap here. And at this point I can now continue as I was before. So if you wanted to, you can now draw around the outside of this shape, or you can continue without doing that and just kind of, you don't have to have that pen line there to make it look like there's an edge. You can kind of get the sense of that even without having the pen line drawn, just from where your weighted lines are anchoring themselves. It gives you that sense of the shape being complete. So I'm just adding this line weight onto my Mrth here. And it's a nice way just to kind of get an interesting bit of texture and shape. This is a fun pattern to draw. So I'm now going to start to extend these out, and I'm just going to begin coming out in the same way as I did before, coming out from these tendrils like so. But this is an interesting and fun variation to give you the option to bring it alive a little bit more, I think. Makes it kind of look like it's alive, gives it this kind of almost, you know, underwater feel, like it's a creature from the deep. And now I'm going to go back and I am just going to restate the outside line by joining these central bits in between each of the areas of my line weighting. Like so. And there we have two versions of Mrth. Let's give it a bit of shade to show you how we can make this look even more dimensional. On our first one, I'm simply going to add my shading either side there of this kind of central gap, and likewise here, and then a bit more shade around the centre, I think. And I'm just gently going to soften that around here. But you get a sense of how that starts to come alive and create a really interesting level of depth and drama. I am also just going to put some right around the inside of this so it looks like it's emerging. But yeah, really fun pattern. A really nice one to have a little practice of, to give you a lot of lovely depth and dimension when it comes to your Zentangle art. So this is day number 19 of Inktober Tangles, and this is Mrth by Zentangle HQ. I hope you enjoyed this pattern today. I hope you get on well with it. Let me know how you find it, and I look forward to seeing it in your Zentangle artwork going forward, and I hope to see you tomorrow for our next video, which is going to be day number 20.